Karen Cleveland, and we're going to be talking about reducing arthritis with plant-based diets. And of course, it's not just the diets, it's exercise and stress and getting enough sleep and all of those things. And we just want to talk about it. We want to hear from you. I've had some experiences, and Karen, we're just going to be talking about how we can help each other, because Big Pharma is going to suggest that we take a lot of medication. It's going to suggest that we have a knee replacement or a hip replacement and all of those things. I've seen a lot of my relatives go through massive surgeries, and it's just like, if I can do anything to prevent that, I want to prevent that, and I'm doing what I can. So you want to just introduce yourself and say who you are, a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. I'm Karen Cleveland, and I've been a vegan for several years, vegetarian. I talk to animals, so I'm just kind of an all-around animal-friendly person, and it's really interesting. I've worked in healthcare for 30 years, over 30 years, and my views have definitely changed, but being firsthand in the pharmaceutical industry has been kind of scary, seeing that they really aren't trying to make us better. So they just want our money. So it's really interesting for me, and I'm always learning something. I just had a friend go through a whole gout thing with because of her diet. It seems, wow. So yeah. Anyways, that's me.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Pamela.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're here. And the thing is, I've been vegetarian, vegan since the 70s, vegan for about 5 years or so. And when I first went to this lifestyle, I did it for the animals because I love animals. But I wasn't eating a really healthy diet. So I was eating the crackers and the, chips. As long as it wasn't an animal, I thought it was okay to eat. But I'm really realizing that those processed oils, the soft flour and the sunflower oils, all the really cheap oils, that even my local co-op that you'd think would be really healthy, when you look at the salads you can get there, it's a lot of the soft flour oils, it's a lot of the really cheap oils, and that does some huge damage. And I've learned this firsthand. My dad has gout, and I'm like, oh man, I'm not going there. But when I was over Minneapolis visiting a friend, I was at the end of a 10-day cleanse. And at the end of this cleanse, it was all raw food and power shakes, all raw. I was feeling fantastic. I was skipping up and down the stairs, and just feeling like I was 20. And then pretty soon we started going to restaurants after my cleanse was over. We went to the restaurants. We ate that, a lot of high-fat, oily kind of stuff. And I noticed it was like this surreal moment where my hand went over to the railing. I was walking down his basement steps, and I was like, oh my God, it was just like the Twilight Zone. I felt my hand go over and grab the railing, and I could tell that it was like this defining moment for me. It is the food I am eating, depending on how I feel. So it's like, wow, when you start to notice stuff like that, and you hear all the doctors, McDougall and Furman, and all these guys have amazing results with people within, sometimes, like Gary Null says, within 4 to 7 days, he can see results. And then after 4 months, I'm not talking about chronic stuff you've had forever. What I'm talking about are people like us, like 40s, 50s, 60s, where you're just starting to feel this, and you're going, man, I know if I let it go too long, it can cause irreversible damage. So if we, stop it now, then we just have a much better chance of, avoiding all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't it interesting that your health food store does carry stuff like that? You really have to do our own research, don't we? Because how do we know who to trust? The government isn't looking out for us, right?
People who are making the money, like, bless their hearts, they bring in a lot of good stuff, but they also have to cut the costs on the good quality oils and things like that. Like my friend, when I met her there, she just got some kale and an avocado and smashed it all together and ate that. It's like you can't even go to the deli and get a salad because it's loaded with all that stuff. And I thought for a long time that was healthy and I'd be okay with that.
Right. Yeah. So, what do you think is a good resource to find out? Do you have resources you like to use?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I study the works of Dr. Joel Furman, and his thing is the more micronutrients you get in your body, like the more nutrients we have, the better it's going to be for your body. Dr. McDougall has a lot of research, and Gary Null, I love this guy. He's got this cookbook. It's the Anti-Inflammation, Anti-Arthritis Cookbook, and I've made some of the stuff. It's fantastic food. It's really beautiful too. But as far as
Wow.
resources, I encourage people to do their own research. You know, get your own facts. Nobody knows your body better than you do. So do your own research. And the thing that I help people with is the support. When we do the mastermind groups, we check in with each other every other day because, like, we're swimming in this soup, you know, like this mass consciousness soup where pretty much everybody is saying, oh, it's okay, have a little meat, it's good for you, a little dairy, you know, so all this stuff. So we're bombarded with that stuff all the time. So in the mastermind groups, I'll share a lot of different resources, and you know, we're just there to support each other, so we don't have to have, you know, knee replacements, hip replacements, all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of scary. I mean, if the whole surgery thing, if it could be avoided, or I guess if you can avoid the small ones, so that if something really goes wrong, then your body can handle, when you really need to deal with something big. But yeah, probably keeping our bodies moving by diet the best way we can until, just in case, just kind of like our own little insurance policy.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, some people say, oh, the food is so expensive. You can find ways that it isn't so expensive. But what I've found is it's mostly discipline. It's the discipline for me. It's like I was the worst person around. You know, I'd go to the grocery store and just pile up on all the packaged foods because I didn't want to go back. You know, it's just like,
Oh yeah.
that's going to take me the least amount of time. And so I did all that stuff, and I put on weight, and I was feeling crappy. And then I just had to say to myself, just make a smoothie in the morning. What I do is I cut up my salad while I'm drinking my smoothie so it's ready to go. Because if I wait too long and I get hungry like anybody else, and if there isn't something ready to go, then I'm tempted to grab the stuff that isn't so healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's something I can definitely do better at. I do my smoothies in the morning, but the rest of the day I do my smoothie with the greens and the fruit, the fresh things, so I know that I'm getting some good food, because working and being out of the house is just a recipe for disaster for me. I'm still learning how to, fit some of these into my lifestyle.
Yeah. So. And you're like so many people, you're busy. I mean, when I talk to you, you've got so much stuff going on. Yeah. And it really is a matter of having it with you. Get a really cool, like, insulated tote bag that you can just load up in the morning and have it with you. It's crazy that we have to do this, it seems like, that we have to prepare so much of the food. But, somebody said, what's the biggest addiction that Americans have, and a lot of the other countries? Well, the biggest addiction is convenience.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, somebody do it for me. When I first went to the culinary school, the nutrition program, the doctors who were up there, they said, okay, for our lunch hour, or an hour for lunch, we take a half an hour to cut up all the salad stuff and a half an hour to eat it, because it takes longer to eat this kind of food.
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like an hour? But now I'm doing the same thing. And it's just like, okay, it's a priority for me, because I know I feel so much better when I just take the time. I got my salad chopped up. I should bring it out. It's so beautiful. But I'm going to get on the road as soon as this blab is over, and I'll have it with me so that I know I have something.
Right. Good ideas. Good tips. I'm always looking for good tips.
Yeah. So. And anybody who wants to join the blab, come on in. I see there's some people out there giving us thumbs up or whatever you call it. And we'd love to. Actually, what I want to hear is like what's working for people and what challenges they're having. So.
Yeah. great to learn, great to bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah.
You know what I just heard the other day. Now this isn't necessarily going to fall into the well, anyways. So I'm always learning something new for egg whites. If anyone ever bakes, which of course isn't necessarily the healthiest, but sometimes we want egg whites for something, or eggs. The juice from the garbanzo beans. So if you open a can of garbanzo beans, to use the gelatinous juice that's inside that. Doesn't taste like beans, and I haven't used it, but someone said they've used it very successfully in several recipes. So you never know what you're going to hear.
That's so true. I just heard that the other day too, and I'm like, really? But yeah, people are saying it's working great.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's not just arthritis, and it's not just stiff joints. It is this inflammation nation, like Gary Null calls it, inflammation nation. We've all been eating the heavy meat, dairy, processed foods, and it all causes this inflammation because our body's saying, what is that? I have to go to work. I have to respond to that. And so it's down the road. I mean, it's heart disease, it's cancer, it's all those things. So I think for me anyway, it's like if I start to feel sore joints, then I know that I've got inflammation in my body and I want to start doing something to prevent all that other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would love to have some other people jump in here with us. This is my first official blab. And Karen, it's your first blab as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so,
I'm new to this blab.
So we're kind of learning as we go. Rhonda, if you'd like to jump in, or Brian Carter, we would just love to have you in here. Radmila, Johan, come on in. I think you just have to request to come in. It's an open seat, so come on in.
Come on in.
Yeah.
Join the party.
So I guess we could just start off by saying what's working well for us and what problems. Like, my biggest insight, seriously, was when I was in Minneapolis running up and down those stairs, and then all of a sudden I had to grab for the railing. It was just like, whoa. And then I could start to feel it. And I woke up in the morning, and it felt like my tongue had a sweater on it. It's just like, and it was just like all this oil. And I think most people...
Oh, the oil. Okay.
No, I mean, I didn't know until I had that drastic comparison. I thought that was normal how I felt, like it's not that gnarly or anything, but it was a huge difference when I was doing raw, plant-based, not a lot of oil and stuff like that. My mouth just felt clean. It just felt really super clean. And then we'd go to those restaurants, and I'd wake up in the morning, and I'm like, wow. I told my friend who I was with, it's like, I'm not trying to get you to change or anything like that. I'm just telling you that I am blown away at the difference in how my mouth feels. And if my mouth feels like that, imagine how my whole body feels, inside, and then that thing with the going for the railing. And I hear too many people, like all these people going down and switching to getting off dairy and meat and all that stuff. And they go, God, I can't even believe how different I feel because of giving that up. And my big question, and I asked my sister the other day, my big question is, if you knew that giving up these inflammatory foods would make you feel better, would you do it? Come on in and tell me. I want to know. I'm so curious. Would you do it? And my sister sat there for a long time, and she was like, well, she goes, I might do it for a little while. But I think the thing is, people don't realize how good they're going to feel. And they think of having to give up these things that we've become addicted to. And so I think once you feel so awesome, like last night I was over at the theater, Olympic Theater Arts, and there was a dancer there. And what she was doing with her body reminded me of when I was in gymnastics. Now, I know I'm not going to be doing backflips again. Well, I don't know. Is that possible? Probably?
It is.
If I really worked on it like a long time, I could maybe do it. But she looked so amazing, and she looked like such an amazing human being. And I'm like, this is the human experience, to be able to be fluid and flexible in our bodies and move gracefully. And it's almost like we've become these machines, like we're stiff and we're starting to move like machines. And I don't know. I just watching her last night. I'm like, that is so beautiful. Imagine if our whole world, people were able to move and be flexible, and it's just lovely to look at.